We're going through my signature framework for how to produce epic events that no one will ever forget. And today I want to show you how attendees in your events, knowingly or unknowingly, introduce drama into the event and how you can use that for your advantage. And so first, let me just review of the part of the framework before we get into those drama avatars. And I'll tell you about those in this video. So just to review, you have your event in time and space. So there's your time plane. Then here is over here, this is the new sensory, and there's always gonna be a start and there's always going to be an end, and this is your time. Everything going back in time to the conception and the birth of the idea of having the event, which drama avatars also enter in that part of the storyline. Then also forget, this is the energy plane, and don't forget the vibe dimension. So you're going to have a whole nother dimension here. Let's call that vibe. That's the vibe dimension. So then you have what I described earlier, which is the Norman Lear effect. So Norman Lear does the story arc, right? So there's the story arc like that. So sometimes it's a little bit lopsided. Meet the characters, conflict resolution. Then there's the hero of the story, which a lot of times is the guest of honor. Sometimes the hero of the story is the mother of the bride. That's a different concept altogether. It's another video. Sometimes with the story arc, let me just label it story arc. Then of course there is always there's the subplot. Oh, the guest journey is going to go from start to finish, so there's really no finish, but once the beginning starts, guests will travel through the new sensory plane into the event and then into the future for legendary status, because nobody's ever going to forget this event. That's just a review of it. Now there's also the attention slope, and there in part of the story itself there could be some attention interrupters. I like to use the cliffhanger as one. That's one of my favorite attention interrupters. So you have all of this going on, and what you're trying to do in the event is you're wanting to peak at the end with the energy. So there's the energy line. You're going to go up and you want to peak right at the end or just before the end, right? And then the memories, the event lives on in infamy. About the drama avatars. The drama avatars are going to contribute to the story arc and possibly become part of the subplot. You're going to have someone that is going to create issues. So they make up issues, and then the issues they make up, like they find little things in the event that they make an issue about, so that then they can step up and be the knight in shining armor and save the day. And that is they're drawing attention away from the guest of honor or the hero of our story by trying to place themselves in the spotlight, either intentionally or unintentionally themselves. So then that is the create drama. Another one is going to be they whine. They're the whiners. They're looking at the food and the service, and they want to complain about it so that they can get a refund. Sometimes it's actually the client, or they'll point out to the client, they'll take the client behind the scenes. You have strategies for these drama avatars. You already have things in place if you're producing an event in a way that can frame the extra drama into the story of the event to help the event live on into the future. So then you have the other avatars, the jealous guest, and they are saying they're looking out for you, they're looking out for the client, or they're looking out for you, and they point out non-existent non-issues because they're looking out for you. Well, I saw this happen, but then I took care of it so that you didn't need to worry about it. Well, you shouldn't be pointing those things out in the first place unless you're wanting to get credit or draw attention. Another drama avatar are the slip and fall artists. So those are sometimes my favorite because we have a special strategy for how to deal with the slip and fall artists, or there's a fly in my soup, scammers, that kind of thing. In fact, sometimes you can have characters in the event that produce drama if you think it's going to be, if you need that, you can have actors like a paid party crasher to come in and be the drama avatar. Also, sometimes there are rival guests who argue, fuss, and fight. You can have that, a built-in mechanism for that. It can also be used in your favor as part of the subplot. It's not a part of the story, but it could be a part of the night. Over drinkers, be careful. We call those interesting guests at the bell tower. We have an interesting guest. That means they've been overserved, or they'll go to one bar and get a drink, and they'll go to the other bar, a different bar, and get another drink. So over drinkers, that's an avatar that can introduce drama. Smokers, people who smoke and vape and think that it's okay to vape inside the ballroom. If that's you, please don't come to the bell tower and vape inside of a party. Then we also have the self-important guests. The self-important guests, they're not necessarily the hero of our story of the night. They are the people that want to be in that position. A lot of them are wannabe heroes, or they want the spotlight, or they want to be the important guest. Don't you know who I am is their favorite phrase. There's a way to handle that. You're going to build in strategies for these things so that it works in your favor, because the goal is to have the event live into the future, and so that no one will ever forget. You also could have another drama avatar, which is the prima donna vendor. So oftentimes it's the DJ or the photographer or the florist. They are all the most important component of the night. You better get out of their way. You better let them park where they want. They have this story in their mind that they're more important than the actual event. Use your event producing judo to use that in your favor to propel the memory of the event into the future. There's also the lost and found thieves thing. So sometimes it's real, sometimes it's imagined, but there is the ever-changing landscape of guests who, for whatever reason, think that they can have something that's not theirs. Most of the time it is an invited guest when something turns up missing. Sometimes things are just lost. It's just one of those things that can add and contribute to drama, whether real or imagined, and you can also use that as a propellant to make your event more memorable into the future. So good or bad, these drama components are overlooked sometimes, and it doesn't have to be necessarily something that ruins the event. For example, on my own wedding night, we were in our horse and carriage after the ceremony, just before the reception started, and we got hit by a drunk driver. So they had to put one of the horses down. Our food, we were eating because we didn't get a chance to, we were going to eat before the reception. Our food went everywhere. It was a drunk driver, and so we were hit actually in our horse and buggy after the reception. So that turns into a memory of the night. I didn't like it that night, of course, but it turns into that now as one of the memories of the night. It is a story to tell, and it'll probably live on to my grandkids. So there are other drama avatars. Sometimes there's a genuine mistake or a genuine accident. Sometimes it's the weather. It could be the power. So you want to have some contingency plans in place, obviously, but it does contribute. Some people say if it rains on your wedding day, for example, it's good luck. So you can spin it, you can frame it, you can have strategies in place to address these different dramas that can happen and use it to your advantage. And the goal is that you want to have this epic event. You don't want to have these introduce drama into the event too much that it ruins the event. But there can always be the fairy princess and the evil villain, and they can coexist, and it helps to create the story of the night, and it helps push the memory further into the future and further down the timeline. So There's tech challenges. There are ways to work tech challenges into the story. Sometimes in real time, you could build it into the story like, aha, we meant to do that. And so you could have some strategies in place for what happens in the story or in the timeline if these other contingencies do happen. Just keep that in mind and stay tuned for the next one. The idea is that we're showing you how to produce an epic event that no one will ever forget so that it reaches legendary status. So follow our framework, or you can come to the bell tower where we'll do it for you.